call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Call to the community. We actually have someone who's calling. So, Mr. Donahue, if you'd like to
Right, this is
share it. Yes, you do.
Cool. Thank you. Hello, and my name is Jack Donahue. I've lived in Litchfield since 1992 and went through all these schools, and it's actually my former football coach right there at Millennium. But I wanted to talk today about a place at Scout Park that we used to call the Cage, and it was a basketball court that we had there pretty much my whole life until, I don't know the exact year it got taken out, but it's a place where there was just free play. And some of my core childhood memories, I remember having bad days, running down there with my basketball, playing until it got dark, and running home with all my friends and whatnot. And so I want to talk about a couple things. One is that used to be a space for free play basketball, and we also had 3 courts at Litchfield Elementary School, which is now the district office parking lot, which I totally understand that. And then we had the rec center. But now it's kind of been condensed to just the rec center for basketball at our parks, and it's pretty much always booked. With the rec center, I know they have over 300 kids in their basketball program, and they practice there in Wigwam Creek. I have a sports program that services this whole, the Litchfield Park community as well. We work out of the local gyms, but I just think there's a desperate need in a way for a basketball court in Litchfield Park. I think it would be a great thing for the community. I know I live right by Litchfield Elementary School, and I see every weekend kids throw their bikes over that fence and basketballs and jump the fence just to go play ball. And I would just be so sad to see a kid get trespassed for something like that, because I know how much it meant to me, growing up. I just have so many memories at what we call the Cage, and it was dingy. It needed to be taken out or redone or whatnot. But yeah, I think it would just be something that would add a lot of value to the community. We have soccer fields, we have, baseball fields. I love the upgraded parks. I think that's awesome. And I just think it's kind of like the missing piece, in my opinion, to Litchfield parks, within the walls. My mom never wanted me crossing Litchfield Road or Indian School or Dysart on my bike as a kid, and I understand that. So we were lucky enough to have not only Litchfield, we had 3 courts at Litchfield, but we also had the Cage right here at Scout Park. So I know it's been talked about. I know that there was a vote a few years ago, and it was one of the top things that the community voted on as something that they would want to see at Scout Park. And so I was hoping that it could be maybe get the ball rolling, just at least a conversation about is it even possible to get another court at Scout Park, because it was awesome. It was a really cool thing, and like I said, just a lot of my friends, they know I'm the basketball guy around here a little bit, and they all ask me, "Where's that court, man? When are we going to get a court at Scout Park?" And I say, "Let me go ask, or let me go see what I can, see what I can do." So that's why I'm here today. I was hoping, maybe there could be some type of conversation about a basketball hoop that's free play, because I think that's just missing. Everything's so structured. I have a structured program, and kids have to pay to play, and we practice in gyms, and there's so much of that now that it kind of pushes kids out that just want free play. And I think there's a lot of creativity in free play, and I think it can help with a lot of mental health stuff with kids, just being able to go and free play, pickup game at the park. So yeah, that's one thing I just want to talk about. I love what you guys do here. I think it's amazing. I love Litchfield. My favorite city in the world, and you guys do a great job. So I just wanted to kind of put it out there and see if it could maybe potentially spark something for the community at one of the parks, within the 4 square miles. So.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
There are a couple of basketball courts in the village. Are you suggesting within the square mile, Scout Park or Park in this area?
What? The one in the village is beautiful. The one is sunken down, and I think there's 4 courts there. or for hoops. Yeah, I know about that one and Aleppo. It's more so, I think, just the distance of crossing Litchfield Road, or crossing, Indian School or Dysart or Camelback to venture out there. I just know as a kid, my mom and her friend, their people, they didn't really want us venturing too far, but they felt good with us going to Litchfield or to the cage. They were like, okay, like, he's a couple blocks away. So, it's just a little less supervised, I think. There's something special about Old Litchfield and, going from 4 courts to pretty much no courts is kind of significant in my opinion. But the rec center is great, but it's just busy, and I understand they're busy, So, but yeah, but no, those are beautiful courts, and I think something like that would look beautiful, like right there too, or at one of the parks. But yeah, that is technically Litchfield too, correct? Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. So yeah, but I guess I'm talking about within, the not having to cross any major streets and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
No.
So I think maybe that we're rather limited in the discussion that we can have about this right now because it's not an agenda item. But one of the things we can do is request it be on a future agenda. And I've talked a bit about could we, and I know this is a long shot, but talk to the school about figuring out if there's some sort of common use arrangement we could do with the baseball fields and the basketball fields that they have, to where we can make it accessible to the community. It could be locked from one side during the day so people can't get in the school, and the other side, so, vice versa, right? You can come in, but the kids can't go out. It's such an underutilized area. I don't know.
That'd be something because Dysart does that with Surprise.
Yeah.
All the elementaries are open to free play for their community. So there's a way to do it. It's just we have to figure it out. And I bet Litchfield Elementary would look a lot better if we were in charge of their fields.
Yeah.
We can,
Guys, we really can't be discussing this.
I'm asking that to be a future agenda item.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Jack.
Do I stay for this meeting or do I?
You can do whatever.
Whatever you do, the whole thing.
You can do whatever you
got to
want.
stay the whole 2 hours.
I'm kind of curious.
In for a penny, in for a pound. You got it.
I have to leave at 8, but I might stick around.
Get out of here.
Sure. Feel free.
I don't.
Your mom felt okay with you playing here because everybody would tattle on the tall redhead.
Yeah. That's happening to me for years.
All right.
I don't need a motion to ask to put it on the agenda, do I? That's just something we'll just do.
No, I think you would just probably address that with Tricia later on, or I don't know. And Anthony, yeah. All right. We have no response to call to the community because we haven't had any for a while. Okay, staff reports. Tricia will start us off with community and recreational services.
Thank you, Vice Chair Phillips and Commissioners. The monthly report is in your packets. I'll just go over a couple of things briefly. Aquatics is wrapping up their lifeguard hiring. That should be done, I think, actually, if not by the end of this week, by the end of next week. And they will be in place and starting training and be ready to go by Memorial Weekend when the pool opens. April 15th is when registration for swim lessons and Legardo Summer Swim Team opens. So be on the lookout for that if you have families that are asking. Next week that opens. Preschool is in the process of taking registrations for their summer camps and for the 24-25 school year. So registrations are ongoing for that, and we'll keep you updated. We're starting to fill. You'll see that in that morning class for the preschoolers, that class has filled, and by default, the rest kind of fall into place there. In terms of community services, all of you were at the orange tree painting. It was successful, and we'll talk about that later on in the agenda. The Spring City line is available online, and we do have some hard copies here on the white table if anyone wanted to grab a hard copy of it on their way out if you haven't had a chance to look at it. We'd obviously love your feedback, and hopefully you guys find it informative. The 2024 appropriations from nonprofits will be discussed at the at next week's council meeting, we had 12 nonprofits apply for funding from the city this year. That's about on track with what we usually do. There were 11 returning repeat applicants and 1 new applicant, and there is $25,000 available for council to disperse as they see fit. And the community garage sale is coming up on April 20th. The online form is available on the website. If you know of anyone that's looking to hold a garage sale that day, we'll get the residents added to the list, just their addresses. And we have created a map already, you'll see online, for people to take a look and do the tours, same way we started with the holiday home decorating tours. So it'll be in the same vein. I'll jump to special events, and then we'll come back to sports. We have our final Arts in the Park concert tomorrow night at the Wigwam from 6 to 8 p.m. It's our season finale with City Nights Band, and WM, formerly known as Waste Management, is the presenting sponsor. So if you guys can be out there, it should be a fun time. We have applied for a festival grant from the Arizona Commission on the Arts. That's kind of in the waiting process, and we'll know more next month. And working on planning for the next season. Before we jump into Pat's updates on events, just so you guys know, it's not on the agenda, but it is part of rec. The courts, if you haven't read the city line, are now open for free play on the weekends and on holidays. So hopefully that helps a little bit. That is not just for kids, but also for adults. So if someone wants to come play tennis, play a pickup game, play pickleball, they're able to do that. The only workaround is programming on Saturday mornings. Right now we have some pickleball lessons going on for kids. So, but even that, if the other court's available, then people can come for drop-ins. And we started that last week, starting with April. So we're kind of doing a trial run to see how that goes. And we'll keep you guys updated. I know we did have some usage. We kind of went back and tracked, because if we don't have staff there, how do you tell? Well, we have the cameras in place. Yeah. So doing it the old-fashioned way for now to track. And then if you haven't been out to the courts lately, we do have a canopied double bleacher, like 2-tier bleacher, portable one that had been kind of wasting space on the swim deck. And so we decided to shift that out to the tennis courts as well. And that's already getting some good use, probably because the sun's coming out now too. So making more shaded space for families as they're out there. So I think it's a nice addition out there. I don't know what took us so long to think of it, but we're glad we did. So those are just kind of rec related, and I'll let Pat share updates too on sports specific.
Thank you, Tricia. So our spring season is going to week 4. We're hitting the midway point. We ended up having 756 kids total in soccer, basketball, and flag football combined. We had about 310 in basketball, 102 in flag football, and then 344 in soccer. So this is one of our biggest years, even compared to last year, which I think that broke the most in the spring. So we're sticking with soccer is doing really well. I think that's up from last year. For the first time in like 10 years, we're able to add our under 12, which is the older one, to get to 16 rather than just the usual 4. So we're really excited for that. And then we also hired a new youth sports assistant that started. She was one of our cashiers, and we did bump her up to this position. She started off as a site supervisor at age 16, and so she worked her way up to being a cashier, and then all the way up to our sports program assistant. So we're excited to have her get started. She's been out there these last few weekends and getting her trained. So she's doing a great job, and we're excited to continue to see people who've been with our programs continue to move up. So our Strong Minds spring classes started, and they had 10 kids in there. And then we were working on with Best on our spring session 2. We did have to postpone the start of our youth pickleball classes to later in April that we're supposed to start this upcoming weekend, just to try to get some more kids in there. So we're hoping to be able to get some kids to be able to run that program. So other than that, that's pretty much all for sports. So.
Thank you. Any questions for anybody?
I have a question for Pat.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on purpose but we never hear about the numbers of baseball or softball. Isn't that in season now?
That's Little League. That's not our program.
Oh, not at all?
No, yeah, we don't. That's a different.
Completely separate. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why the fields are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
We do have T-ball in this fall.
Yeah, fall. We do T-ball in the fall and winter, and we do coach pitch in the fall, but that starts really in August. And then we do reserve Jackie Robinson for Little League. They use that field and reserve it, but we don't. The spring season of Little League, we don't have any. That's not us. So
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
They have a use agreement with the city to use the field.
I have a question on new bands for the Arts in the Park. How would somebody, I have a friend at work who has a band, and he's like surprise-ish area, but, you know, is there a form? Does he call you?
Yeah, he can call
Okay.
to either Samurai, and usually when we do that, when we get those calls, we ask people to follow up with an email and send us info if they have a website or social media pages, that kind of stuff, and then we check. We do check everybody out to see if we think they'll be a good fit.
Yeah.
And then, matter of fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we went to check out a band that had been kind of reaching out to us. So we went and saw them to see if they'd be a good fit. So we do follow up.
Okay, thanks. All right, moving on to Public Works. I forget who's doing this.
So Kyle's report is in your packets. He's not here tonight. So if you do have any questions, please reach out to him directly. I know he'll answer. He's on vacation right now, but he'll be back next week. The only thing that I did want to point out to you guys, just so you know, we are doing the Arbor Day tree planting event on the 25th at 10 a.m. I don't think they've determined their location just yet, but Kyle wanted us to let you guys know about that in case anyone is available to attend. I know Public Works staff and rec staff and some of the other city staff come out to it, and when you guys have been available, you've done it as well. I think it's a nice opportunity to be out in the parks and promote us.
Okay.
And what is it?
Plant trees.
The tree planting for Arbor Day. I don't know what tree.
One tree?
One tree.
Like
It's always
ceremonial.
Yeah, ceremonial.
Okay.
We did like 3 or 4 a couple of years ago over at Turtle Park.
You're right. They did.
I think it kind of depends on the.
Last year, yeah. Last year was.
And having all the orange trees these guys did up in Dowdle, Litchfield this week. Yeah.
But other than that, if you do have any questions, definitely reach directly out to Kyle.
Okay. Moving on to business, approval of minutes. So we've all got our minutes, and maybe we'll take a minute and look them over, and bless you. See if anything needs to be updated or amended. Do anybody, anything? All right, do I have a motion? Oh,
Motion
sorry.
approved.
Oh,
Motion
sorry.
approved.
Okay, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, Camelback Park Perimeter Wall Project. When it's appropriate to, I do have a comment from Brian Culbreth when we get in there, so, but I'd just like to share.
Larger versions. Is it the same? Yeah.
This is almost as good as doing this one.
You guys okay if I talk from right here?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome to the discussion on the Camelback Park. Actually, this will be the whole perimeter wall project, but I think for discussion purposes, we can focus on the Camelback Park. The similarity between all the options is the sections along the homes is going to be a solid wall, so that's not up for any discussion change. The only interesting thing is recently we found that Dysart Road, for a majority of the portion along the homes, is actually in McDOT, so right at the back of the wall is, people's side is Litchfield, shoulder side is all McDOT at the wall. So we're building these foundations in the right of way, so we have to go actually acquire some of, with the annex portion of Dysart Road to just build. So that's my next fun task. Fortunately for the part that's adjacent to the Camelback Park, we have it all the way down to about the Denny's. That is Litchfield. So we have the flexibility to install the wall at the alignment shown, which is essentially the right-of-way line. So if you look at the first two pages of the attachments, we whittled it down from, originally it was about a half a dozen options of various kinds. We had a public survey that was advertised, and quite a few, we had 120 responses. So we had a really good showing. It was open to everybody in the city. I had 4 options on there. I had the original option that was already a selection before I came here to the city in 2022, which was the more or less option number 2. Then there was option, as you're seeing, option number 1. Option number 2 is where we worked out as a couple of defense options that actually was the most preferred on the survey. Then there was the solid wall option, which was overwhelmingly not preferred on the survey. And then a couple of variations of option number 2, which had a section that was right behind the chamfer at the intersection, which was proposed to be a view fence, but that was probably the second to the last, least accepted option. I think it has a lot to do with, we don't want to have the intersection open for everybody to see in. Plus, there is a future CIP project to build a monument sign for entry into the city at that chamfer, so we'll eventually close it off anyways. Why build it open? So up for discussion for tonight, for the most part, is whether there's a preference for option 1 or option 2. Staff does prefer option 2, which provides, if you look at the last page of the details, there's a rendering. So what that is essentially a between 3 and 4 foot tall solid piece and between a 4 and 5 feet section of view fence. An interesting point on this, if you take and what a lot of discussion points on the written part of the survey is the view fence section being proposed in option 2 along the fairway. A lot of people wanted to see the solid portion a little bit higher than what's at Turtle Park. So right now it's about 3 to 4 feet, and there was a lot of discussions, can we add a couple feet to that? So I don't know if I like a couple feet, but maybe we're looking at maybe a 4 to 5 foot section of solid with a 3 section of view fence on top. And what that allows, the whole purpose of this is for people driving by on Camelback to be able to see the beauty of the interior portion of Litchfield Park in general as they're driving by. And from a vehicle, as you're sitting, you're already at 3 or 4 or 5 feet, depending on what you're driving. So you're going to have a very good view of the fairway without being able to see up and over the fence if it's at 5 feet. So that's not a bad compromise, but I don't know if I want a couple more feet. Turtle Park's about 3 feet.
What's that? The gap fencing?
The gap, if you go to option 2, that represents the smaller view fence section. That one right now is going to be as it sits right now, that's the same height as Turtle.
Okay, so maybe a block higher, you're thinking?
Well, so those 4 foot sections will keep Turtle Park height. The long view fence sections being proposed
would be
on the survey
higher.
would be a little bit higher.
Would the top of the view fence mimic Turtle Park so that there's working? Oh, good, thank you. And then one more question, sorry, Adam. How much distance is between the view openings? About?
So that section of red is about, for perspective, about 275 feet. So in between the red sections is about 75, 80 feet.
Okay.
And so it kind of evens out to about 3 on that section and 2 on the other side.
Thank you.
So, from my truck, I can see over a 5-foot wall, but I think most passenger cars are under 5 feet. I don't know that I don't know why you would, I mean, there's nothing there to look over the wall at.
Well, so for perspective, also, given the grading, if you're driving there now, there's that knee-high wall. That knee-high wall goes up from the curb, and it's going to represent about the height of what the 5-foot section would be. So if you can see it.
So it's not going to be taller than what it is now?
Roughly. I looked at the grading. It's about,
I'm fine with
from
that.
the curb, it's about 5 feet. So if we pull it out, that 28 feet that we're getting the distance, it'll kind of drop a little bit.
Would that look weird coming along Camelback for that to be high and then you see the 3 gaps that are low?
Something to consider. So it is, a lot of it is just the perception as the vehicle's driving by. Obviously, one day we're going to put sidewalk on both Dysart and Camelback, so when people are walking, they can look at it at their leisure, peer in. But for driving by, it's kind of like, and then you get the long piece.
You said that long piece is 275 feet. That's all.
As it's drawn right now, it's 275. I'll tell you, I did an analysis with the survey. We're actually probably going to extend it because I don't want to. What I'm trying to do is thread the needle between the houses, and that gives us about 325 feet before you show too much of somebody's house. So we're gonna likely modify that to either 300, somewhere between 300 and 325. So we get a little longer than the red line you see there, actually heading down the page.
Commissioner Kurtz?
This isn't going to make sense for a moment until I make it make sense. When you build a pool fence, you can't do it 50-50 split. And the reason for that being it's more climbable, right, to have it solid and then like a wrought iron fence. If we raise the block wall, is that a consideration that we're making the fence more climbable? Do we care if it's more climbable?
It is a consideration. There are we can put the ledges at an angle, make sure that, as it's shown right now, there's a little bit of ledge, but really we have a bond beam that's rounded. Where there's a will, there's a way.
For sure.
Throwing bikes over a fence to get to the basketball court. So I would say that there's always that concern. Actually, I looked back at a lot of the records. The round piece on top of the Turtle Park fence was at first, when they were starting to build Turtle Park, it was just the pointy pieces, and then somebody brought it up.
I remember that.
So they actually had to do a change order to the supplier to weld a bunch of the round pieces. So it's something to consider while we're moving on the process.
And they can just go down Villanueva if they want to get in there too.
Yeah.
So may I ask you a question? Are you talking like this
exactly.
stepping stone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
I mean, in all reality, when the kids can grab it and stuff,
I'm just thinking of the liability of a 12-year-old or the kid, jumping over the fence and then they're on Kaiser or Camelback.
Does this have to be that high? Can it just all be defense?
It always a possibility. I can tell you that wasn't, nobody brought it up. I thought about it. It was actually the 6th option I mentioned in the very beginning, and it was shot down early by staff and a couple other people that looked at it. I don't think that the idea of having a complete wrought iron was very popular.
I was just thinking maybe if it was staggered, like it was wrought iron, and then you jump up to this, and then you jump up to the solid wall.
and last question is, should we, as we make a recommendation on this, consider wind forces on the wall and then having the gaps as useful, or are these things so sturdy, even though they're not necessarily braced by other walls like there are in the residential area, that it's not a consideration at all?
This is probably the most stoutest design of a wall I've
seen. Don't worry about it.
The wall right over here that was built on Litchfield, when I reviewed those plans, I couldn't believe how big the footing was.
Okay.
It's going to withstand something big that can hit it. We're in good shape on that.
So is this an action item, Andy?
It is information, no. Yeah, it is an action item. So we're picking between option 1 and option 2, correct, Keith? And
you mentioned the sidewalk. I know at the public input meeting, at least some of the people that were there were under the impression that there would be a gate that is in these view fencing, which might have influenced their answer. And my my biggest concern with this is really kind of cutting off pedestrian access from that entire corner of the city. There's really no way there's no sidewalks, there's no way to get from Litchfield to the businesses, some of which are also in Litchfield. except for car.
Yeah, so that was, both of those, all that items have been talked about, so I can tell you that there isn't, nobody on council or staff does support a gate for various reasons. A lot of it, almost most of the reasoning is entering the park, vandalism, having the transients, there's a whole bunch of reasons. I do know that there are several residents that would prefer it because right now they pick up like their stroller or hop over the fence and get over there. It's solid all the way around, even though it's a knee high. So again, where there's a will, there's a way. The other part of that discussion has been that we do need to have a CIP project to add sidewalks in general along both of those streets. Now that we have annexed Camelback, we're making a project out of it, a real project. Obviously, there's a lot of wheels starting on Camelback Road. We had to finish the noise study. There's funding, obviously. And then on Dysart Road, again, we have a portion of Dysart Road. Finding out as part of the research, we don't have either of the two entrances are in McDOT. It's actually a McDOT section, so there's no way to get across. And anybody that's made a left turn out of any of those exits, you're on the gas pedal. So in all reality, I'd say at least one of those exits might warrant a signal in the future. Maybe we might work with McDOT on things so that residents can get across. Our entrances aren't very good for sidewalk access either, so the north or south entrances don't have ADA compliant pathways. Not only that, but not getting across the street to get to the businesses that are in the city, let alone the ones that aren't. So that is future considerations. I can tell you though that we're not considering the gate for that purpose, and the Camelback Road portion is likely to happen before Dysart because we have the noise studies done that we can start looking at funding sources. Our goal is to make that a complete street, which is sidewalks both sides, raised median with the palm tree. Yeah, it's going to look a lot like Litchfield Road.
Ultimately, that's probably better than having a gate, but just having some way to get around.
Absolutely.
Long term, that's going to be the best.
We also need to make a recommendation regarding the height of that view fencing, or is that part of our action? If we choose?
Yeah.
May I ask you a question? Were there any studies that could be focused in on sound with this being solid versus the view? Do you have any data
I have
on that?
comparative data. I've done a lot of sound walls. I can tell you that, everybody thinks a sound wall is the magical, but it really is like, depending on how it's built, it's only between 5 and 11 decibels, depending, again, height and everything. So what it's going to be in that section, it'll be very similar to what it is now. And then if we put a solid piece, it would lower the sounds by somewhere between 5 and 11. And that's only at the wall. So the houses that are further away are going to get they get a better attenuation the further away you can get from the wall. So I can look at general numbers. We send a site-focused study on something like that. I know that I got numbers from the county study I can look at and see what they were looking at in that area.
I asked that because I don't live far from there, and, as our population continues to grow, the sound levels just, follow suit, so.
The drag races down Dysart?
They do, and in the mornings, down Camelback too, even though the speed limit has been changed. Maybe we could put a police officer there more often, but it hasn't really changed. I mean, they're still flying down there 45, 50, 55. So I was just wondering if we shortened that view shortened it up a little bit, if that would mitigate any of that noise, but it doesn't sound like it probably
and the other thing about walls that aren't at a certain height versus the noise projector, which is basically the car, the further away you get, people that live 15 miles from the highway can still hear it because the sound goes up and over like it's not even there. Unfortunately, when you get to a point of no return along Villanueva, it just sounds like whether we built a wall or not, it would just be the same noise. And Dysart doesn't help.
No. All right.
Was option 2 the one I think that most of us like, right?
And I think most of the people who submitted surveys, I think most of us liked option 2, and a large percentage of the people that did the survey also liked option 2.
Unless anybody else has questions, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend option 2. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discussion, or did I miss that part?
I think you need to know if anyone opposed.
Oh, yeah, anyone opposed?
I'm pretty much 50/50.
So you abstain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see from both, like, looking in, yes, the view fence is great, but from Litchfield looking out, you're not really looking at anything.
Correct.
Just think it breaks it up a little bit, so you're not just looking at a wall.
Like
That's what I like about it.
That's how I feel.
Well, to your point, I mean, the neighbor right there, she has landscaped that whole section.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be something we do, is do a full wall and line it with ficus or line it with something, and that softens it. Same for back here.
I just spent an hour at Camelback Park, and I don't notice the auto zones and the Taco Bells and stuff like that. I feel like I would notice an 8-foot wall. And so that's why I like the view fencing.
Okay.
I've been going there for 15 years, so.
So I think we just passed it.
Yep. Do we want to make
Getting
any sort of
back on there?
recommendation on the height of the view area? My worry is just that if the view fencing is one height, you have 3 sections there, and then it's going to be a different section for that pass-through, what do we call that area?
The view, just the view.
The large view area. So, I don't know,
Can you go over that with us one more time? The height?
So if you look, let's go to page, this page is that, yes, that page with the details. So the closely varies because on the Turtle Park, it depends on the steps on the, it only varies like 6 inches. But in reality, that's about 2 feet. So it's as it sits right now, at Turtle Park, it's about 4 feet. 3.5 to 4 feet, but let's call it 4 feet.
the brick wall portion?
The view fence part on Turtle.
The brick is 4 feet high, and then the fence goes up to 8, right?
Yes. A little above 8 in some locations. So that, for simplicity, just simplify it 4 feet, and we're talking about adding another, essentially, row of bricks to make it close to 5.
Is there anywhere else in Litchfield Park that we have view fencing like that?
No. Not in this manner. It's just Turtle Park for the most part, and various.
So those are on totally opposite sides, nearly opposite sides of the city, so I don't know that they need to look exactly the same. I was just worried about this one. Those are going to be adjacent, those gaps.
Just under 100 feet apart, and then, so, some of the
Sort of the
discussion.
same section of wall.
Yeah, some of the discussion on the view fence side on why to raise it is just because it's that one section that we're kind of, we as residents and people of the city that are gonna look in and look out, that also wanna protect the, what the square is, what the village is, compromising by giving a little bit of view, but also not giving all of it. And I think that's, a lot of the discussion was, well, all right, let's let the view in, but don't just open it up for everybody to see in and out and see what we got going on here. So it was kind of like, let's squeeze it a little bit, but the smaller sections could definitely be with a taller wrought iron portion because, you're driving by or on a bike and it's quicker and you just want to get that glimpse of green.
What's your opinion aesthetically?
Don't follow it still.
The difference between the two, or just...
What's your opinion aesthetically between an extra foot or an extra brick?
Unless you know what you're looking for, probably not going to change. You're not going to really...
I was worried about being so high that a car couldn't see it across.
And that is,
Based on wherever Camelback's going to end up after we do the Camelback project.
Camelback, I can tell you, the pavement itself won't change. We have no reason to. And also, I can tell you there's a lot of history. A lot of us might know that there's a lot of history in the drainage aspect of it. So when they set the grade of Camelback, it was set along with that channel. So if we did anything, we'd remove it and put it back in. Now, on our side, where we're going to build this wall and add the sidewalk, depending on the room, it might be, raised up, it might be a meandering sidewalk that kind of, so that might change, it might undulate in that area. So then that would apply more to people walking in the future along Camelback, looking back off to the side.
I would just think if only the trucks and SUVs could see. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that's not the case.
Well, yeah, that is a good point. I drove by in my Titan, which I'm sitting up by the side, and it's beautiful, perfect. I got out to go look at a manhole a couple weeks ago, and I looked back over, and you can definitely get plenty of view over that existing knee-high wall, which is, if you just think that wall is just a little bit higher, you can still see the undulating hills of the fairway. Obviously, the trees are doing their good job, too, because they're green for as far as I can see as well.
Do you guys want to make a recommendation on that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do we want to make a height recommendation?
You don't need to, but you can if you want council to know that.
And I'll present I got to present to council next week on this. It's good that everybody's voting.
Would it be too much to ask to see the difference, to like see mock-ups of it? I don't want to put a lot of extra work on anybody, but just curious.
I don't feel I have the expertise to even do this, because that's not my thing, but whatever the commission decides, wants to do.
I think you're going to council next week, so you just said.
Yeah.
We're going to council next week, for the most part, to present option number 2 and to get their approval to move on with design and construction as per the study. Now, there's all the little details of things that work out in projects along the way, and this is one of them. So it's not something that even, I think, a vote now would put us all the way in concrete with it.
Okay. I think we'll leave well enough alone with you guys who are the experts on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Before we leave this, though, because we did pass the first one, I need to read Brian's, because he's out of town. He just wanted comments. Of the 2 options presented, I'm in favor of option 2, some view fence. I think this is a good compromise. I also think the longer stretch of view fence along Camelback should extend further to the west, which Keith just addressed. This way, more of the golf course could be seen when driving down Camelback as it is today.
Sounds like you're going to.
Yep, I think he's right.
My only comment on that would be what does this neighbor feel about that? I mean, I know this person, and I know she's had her home broken into multiple times.
Well, this is going to give her more security, right?
Yeah, she's going to get about another 100 or so feet of 8-foot wall. Are we talking about this house here?
No.
Talking about
On the golf
The one that backs up to Camelback.
No. Golf course.
Well, first one on the golf course side.
I mean, you still be able to see in general, close to what it is. There'll obviously be a cutoff, that the one we're talking about, how far west it goes. But the wrought iron beam creating this wall at 8.5 feet tall, that itself would be somebody secure. Just as somebody's driving by, it's like, I can't hop that wall easily. I'm going to go to, I mean, what it'll tell them is I got to go around to get to that house. So that's a stepping stone. That's what you want to do when trying to turn.
Okay. Any more questions or comments on the Camelback wall? All right. We will move on to item C. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Litchfield Square Park update with John Crow.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the RPG. John Crow, I'm the city planner and special projects manager for the city. I was here in January to give you an update on all things Litchfield Square and Litchfield Square Park. Our general contractor that's building the infrastructure just outside this building is Adjournment Construction, and they've made a lot of progress in the last 3 months. We are trying to wrap up the infrastructure construction with Nathan Gardner around Labor Day weekend. The park itself, I'm going to hand this full-size exhibit around to the commission. A reduced copy of that is in your packet. So the park itself, the square is still a construction zone, so we don't really want the public mixing with construction activity, construction vehicles, equipment, etc. But when you get close to the park, such as at the southeast corner of the park, which would be Honeysuckle and Desert Avenue, you can look over through the temporary construction fencing and see how big the park is. And I might have mentioned this back in January. I was a little shocked. Now that the 4 roads have been built and these will all be public roads in the square, I'm just surprised for me, from a visual standpoint, at how big the park is. It's one thing to look at it on a plan and tell the RTG or Planning and Zoning Commission or Design Review Board, you know, we've got a 2.5 acre park. It's another thing when you get out in the field and see it. So a couple Fridays ago, we were able to walk the site, myself, Patrick, Tricia, and St. Sam was with us, and Aiken Gardner let us walk around and got a great view of the park. Keith and I have been monitoring the Village Parkway construction. That's the roadway on the north side of the park. The road's not yet open to the public. We're working with our city manager and Aiken Gardner on when we might be opening up the Village Parkway between Litchfield Road and Old Litchfield Road. But we're getting close to the point where I know the public and the other boards and commissions that I work with are all excited to see the activity that's happening in the square. The work behind Patrick, there will be a new road called Loma Avenue. If you're out and about, you've probably seen, it's right behind City Hall here. That'll be a new north-south street from Wigwam Boulevard north up into the square, and actually it's the west boundary of the park. So here's Wigwam Boulevard down here. This would be the Loma Avenue. And then the shops and restaurants are over here, off of Honeysuckle.
Okay.
What I was hoping to do tonight with RPG was, one, give you an update on all things Litchfield Square, but also give you an update on the park. The next thing, the big progress that has been made is on your exhibit. There's 2 bathrooms, 2 public restrooms that will be built. Bathroom, we're calling it restroom building number 1, is under construction. That's, if you don't mind, I'm just going to peek over your shoulder. It's this building.
A building?
Yeah, it's building, I just labeled it Building A on your handout. That's located on the southeast corner of Village Parkway and Loma Avenue. Most of the underground work has been completed by Aiken Gardner, so that's plumbing, electrical work. The flat work, which is concrete slabs are being poured. The update we got from Aiken Gardner, we meet with them weekly. The update from them this morning was that the stem walls for the actual building exterior walls of the bathroom will probably start next week. So if you're out and about and if you see pallets of concrete masonry units or CMU block, that bathroom building will start coming up out of the ground. Probably, it will be sometime this month. Bathroom building number 2, I've labeled it as B. That's over on the east side of the park, so this is Desert Avenue.
There.
Thank you.
Number 40.
Yeah, that building is a little bit behind the construction schedule. It's not behind schedule. Aiken Gardner wanted to get going on restroom building number 1. Council gave staff direction last fall. We really want a second bathroom building. So we've been working with Aiken Gardner since November to incorporate bathroom building number 2. I'm also responsible for design review board. So last month on March 7th, I took the design plans to DRB for bathroom building number 2. It's a miniature version of, not as elaborate as restroom building number 1, but it'll be, restroom building 2 will be closer to the future amphitheater. And it will provide other options for people. There will be a changing a family restroom, so parents can take kids in there, change diapers, assist with bathroom activities. So the east-west sidewalk, I think I mentioned this in January, that's a wide concrete sidewalk. It's reinforced, thick concrete, so we can drive food trucks, maintenance equipment for public works, the folks that might be setting up for performances with heavy vehicles, trailers, you will be able to park, drive on that and park. And then that's not quite poured yet. The north-south sidewalk that's mid-block between Desert and Loma Avenue, that is poured, and as are the concrete pads for the picnic tables. And actually, our Public Works department, Kyle wants to put in, he can source the picnic tables themselves, and he says he has the personnel where they're going to be, in order to save a little bit of money, they're going to be, Public Works will be installing the picnic tables. They will be ADA accessible. Litchfield Square is a ADA accessible complex. We're going to have handicap parking, golf cart parking, conventional parking, and then with the idea that at some point, Tricia and Patrick will move a lot of the events into the square over time. What I was hoping to get tonight is also the playground equipment. The primary playground for kids is east of bathroom building 1, and we're getting to the point where the equipment will be installed here probably this summer. In keeping with the way we do other parks in Litchfield Park, we want to provide a shade cover. And so I brought a couple samples. Andy, I'm just going to hand those to you.
Alrighty.
So what I was hoping to get from input from RPG tonight is there's 2 samples there that are going to go around the table. Because of the size of the playground equipment and the spans between the support poles, the supplier that would actually be fabricating and then installing the shade cover, they're suggesting a stronger fiber to withstand wind, sun. The 2 different samples, one is kind of a traditional all-purpose, that one, kind of basic shade cover. The other one is more durable, and that's what the vendor's recommending just for longevity. The color itself would be matching Turtle Park, and so I was hoping to get input from RPG if you're comfortable with that color.
They're shaded turtle thinking Scout Parks?
I was told that we have a cover on Turtle Park.
That's the only park that doesn't have a cover.
No.
Stag?
Yes, I was thinking it was
All right.
Stags has the big, not built-in one. And,
I might be mistaken the conversation.
That's on my agenda still.
There it is, so.
Kyle has looked at those. He's part of the planning process, as is Keith, for all things Litchfield Square, and that would be the color selection that we were hoping to do at Litchfield Square Park. That would, I apologize, it must be Stag's Park.
This is their recommendation?
Yes.
It is an umbrella-looking thing.
Yeah.
Turtle, but
Yeah, it doesn't shade a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't shade a lot.
Yeah. This one, because of the playground equipment, it'll accommodate different age groups, so young kids, like toddlers, and then kind of that tweener age. I think the playground equipment is rated for like 2 to 5 years old, and then 5 to 12. And then there will be benches and seating areas for parents. The idea was to get those folks that visit the playground area, that they be undercover.
Nice.
Yeah.
In terms of the color, does the playground equipment, it's not going to be beige on beige, I guess, is what I'm correct to, right? So that might be a little overboard. Otherwise, I think the color we have today works fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we try to stay true to like the green and orange and, you know, within our logo.
Yeah.
So you would like, our vote on which fabric?
Correct. The durable one, this would be the approximate color. I think it's called sand. The other one, I think the less durable is beige.
I would vote for durable.
I would like
Any
to
comments?
Did we find the
motion
funding for it? I think when you were here in January, we didn't have funding for it, and we're just gonna be pouring the footings.
Correct. Thank you, Commissioner, through the Vice Chair. Good memory. We did find the funding, and we don't want to be, as a city, we do not want to be building how do I say it, a high caliber park and playground without the cover, and so we were able to find the funding for it.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I should have mentioned that earlier.
And I imagine the extra cost, because the more sturdy one's gonna cost more, but then the time value of it lasting is gonna just, okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, do we have?
A quick question, was the stage, was that originally in like our first phase plan, and that it's noticeably absent?
Correct. This was the exhibit that's in front of Susan that was presented as part of the State of the City. The amphitheater stage was taken out just due to costs, and we view it as a future capital improvement program project. We would come back and once funding sources identified, we would come back to RPG and show you what the plans are.
Is there going to be like electricity and everything in place in that location, so you're not having to?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Detail on that. So the sub-consultant, Aiken Gardner, that's doing all the electrical work, Sturgeon Electric, great people. They're coordinating not just the design, but also they're actually Sturgeon's doing the electrical work. And so we are plumbing out the electrical into this area with the transformer has been designed where there's enough electricity provided by APS to power everything. Restroom building 2, same thing. The electrical work, the connection to the future bathroom building is being done literally as we speak.
So that way we could still have the concerts there. They have a temporary stage.
Okay.
Yeah, the park itself, where I'll just, if you don't mind.
Sure.
This area here, this has all been, the turf is in now since I was here last time. This area here where the amphitheater eventually will go, it's been graded. We did a site walk 3 weeks ago, I think, Keith, myself, Kyle, and Tricia, I think you were with us, trying to figure out kind of the grading, how the amphitheater would work in the future. And so the earthwork has been done and the sod's being laid. And so
the idea. Drain at the bottom of that for when you do get some.
Yeah, there's a grate at the bottom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I'm understanding you correctly, you guys assessed that the total, like the per year cost of ownership of the more durable fabric is advantageous, and we have budget for it.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the more durable fabric.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? Oh, sorry, opposed? Anyone? All right, pass.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are the trees set?
Yes. So one thing that was really cool yesterday, Keith and I, our office space, we share an office space in the north. The date palms were being installed yesterday in the park. And about 2 weeks ago, the trees in the park were being installed. Most of the lighting has been installed. I don't know if they're energized yet or not. Yeah, the trees are going in. The square is really coming together. The little welcome
center out here, Welcome Plaza, off of Litchfield Road, northeast corner of Wigwam and Litchfield, is lit up with lower scale bollards with lights, and there's not much there now. It's off of a future kind of a park and ride sailing area, if you will. But there's tree grates and also some vertical elements with palm frond cutouts in steel. It's got the Litchfield Park brown, and then vines will grow and intertwine up into the seating area. So it'll be really nice.
Is this another roundabout?
Yes. No. Traffic circle.
Sorry. So this is the one in place at Village Parkway?
You're thinking of the one at Litchfield Road, which scale-wise would be about right here. But yeah, that's you'll be able to drive through that once we open up the street.
Yeah. They're building the one on that bottom.
Yeah.
And
that's just outside this building here, just a little bit northwest of us.
so it's Litchfield and,
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Honeysuckle.
Okay,
Yeah, Loma and Honeysuckle.
okay.
Correct, it's not.
Any more questions?
Are these Palo Verde trees around the park, or are these, the other one?
My eyesight isn't as good as it used to be.
It says,
Depends on where
Yeah, it depends on where you're pointing.
the ashes are in the median, and I think they go around the edges, and I think over there by the palms, we'll have a lot of the colors.
It's hard to tell the colors.
Yeah.
The
Those, I
palm,
think, are ash. The yellow, I think they're shown as like a autumn color.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
the Palm Plaza, which is, Andy's kind of pointing to it, just south of the bathroom, building number 1, that will go in.
Oh, building.
Yeah, up there.
Okay.
Once that goes in with all the date palms, that'll be really dramatic. And those palms have not been installed yet, but they're budgeted and they will go in.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thanks for the big picture.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to Yard of the Quarter, presenter Tricia Kramer.
Thank you, Vice Chair Phillips and Commissioners. Just a quick update that we did not receive any votes from the public for this first quarter for Yard of the Quarter. And I think because we were planning so hard for the tree painting, we didn't do that among the commissioners as well. So I wanted to send you that reminder that we do need nominations, and would love to be able to get those in over the next couple of weeks so that we can get that Google Vote sheet out to you guys in time to vote for the May meeting.
What zone are we?
Yeah, I will send you an email, but we are, and I put it on here too,
In the village?
Quadrant 4, which is the village. That's where, and the focus feature that you guys had agreed upon for first quarter is blooming.
Okay.
So that's what you should be looking for in the village this go-around. I don't know if you want to shoot me nominations, and once I get 3, which is typically what we're getting,
Okay.
I can let you guys know that we've got those and go from there,
Sure.
if that works for you.
Yeah, give us a deadline, Tricia.
Let's look.
Did you say 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
How about 2 weeks from tomorrow?
Yeah.
So tomorrow's the 12th, so by the 26th, if I could get nominations.
Put that in the email first.
Mm-hmm. And I will just then cut it off at the first 3, so if I get them before then,
Okay.
then we'll do that.
26th?
What if one person sends you 3? So I'm gonna go look, I'm gonna send someone
I
one.
thought it was one per.
Yeah.
I think we're one per.
One per, wasn't it?
It's one per.
Oh, I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Can we
I
keep it
think,
open
yeah.
to the 26th?
If you guys prefer that, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out a good day to get it all
Just the
done.
best one?
Yeah. Do you want it by the 25th, so that you have Friday to get it done?
Yeah.
I've appreciated the 3.
No, I mean,
Not
that
done
day,
every time.
one day is not gonna make that big a difference. I just know that if we get 7, then you guys, don't like having the 7, and it's been a preference to kind of cut it off at
Three's good.
at 3.
Okay.
Mhm.
2 or 3.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's a good number. All right.
but that's a decision that you guys want
Somebody
to.
planning to send one in and then, like, stuff sent in.
Well, I don't think it's been a problem yet.
I'm
So-
deadline driven. I'll do it the day before, so.
I think 3 is good. Okay, all right.
So I will notify you when we hit, if and when we hit 3, if it's before that 26th,
That's fair enough.
and then you guys can decide whether you want to
Keep it
keep
open.
it open until the 26th. How's that?
Fair enough.
And will you send an email so that those that aren't here are on the same page?
Mhm.
Thanks, Tricia. All right, I don't think we have any action we have to do there, right?
No.
No. All right, orange tree painting recap with Anthony. I have a comment from Brian, though, Culbreth. And can we document how many cans of paint were used this year so we can make sure to buy enough paint when planning next year's event? Good comment.
We talked about how many trees you can get out of 1 can. Remember?
Yes.
We surveyed the painters.
It varies greatly, though.
It kind of does.
It does.
How was Sunday?
It does.
I wasn't able to go Sunday. I didn't.
either.
It's good.
Yeah.
I just like to see double XL large shirts.
I would suggest that
Already
we table
noted.
this when Anthony could be present and Brian.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
And
idea.
he's gonna have a lot to add.
Good idea.
We got time.
I think that's a good idea.
Right, yeah, we do have time.
I second his motion.
I will move that we table this for the next meeting and set it on the agenda.
Okay, and Adam seconded that. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that one? All right,
Yeah, it would
so moved.
be bad for us to do that without Anthony.
All right, yeah. I'm- Okay, Tricia is up next again with our temporary public art opportunity.
Thank you, Vice Chair Faith and Commissioners, or Phillips and Commissioners. So this is just really a brief introduction to something that West Valley cities as of late have been having those involved with arts and culture staff-wise gathering and discussing how to promote the Southwest Valley, the West Valley in terms of arts and culture, and to make it a place where people want to go to see art. And several of the West Valley cities are interested in collaborating on a temporary art installation project where participating cities would agree to spend $10,000 to have a temporary installation at each of their cities. And as part of that, we would promote a tour of the West Valley where people could go from city to city to see those temporary installations. The bulk of the details have not been worked out yet, but if any of you are familiar with Influx, which is kind of valley-wide, it's a similar concept where the cities that opt in select artists to do something approximately $10,000 that's temporary. Influx, I think, is for a year. The West Valley cities are considering making this biannual, so it would be up for 2 years, and then cities have the option to either work with the artist to dismantle or to say to the artist, our community really loves it and perhaps we should buy it. Yeah. There is a meeting coming up next week on it again, and most of the cities would like to bring to the table the locations and what type of art they'd like to see to promote for a call to artists for this. And so I wanted to put it in front of you guys to see if you had any thoughts on what might be good to propose or discuss further on what would be good in the city, and if you even want this. It's not a done deal. It's just beginning discussions amongst the West Valley cities but they do want to act on it, and several of the cities already have funding approval from their cities. They have the backing, so they're ready to move forward. Just a matter of how many cities are doing it.
Comments, anybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it's not a temporary setup, but I forget what it is. Somewhere on the east side, there's like a big love sign, right? LOVE. And people go take pictures in it and that sort of thing, to draw.
Instagram worthies.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're going to do something, if it could be something that is like, hey, I want to go take pictures with my friends or family on or with this thing, that where it's more than just the people that appreciate art for art's sake, but it's also like, yeah, it's be cool to have my, graduation picture in front of or what have you. And so I don't have concrete ideas, but just as like if we're looking at what kinds of things, I think that might be a facet of the considerations.
As long as it's not too trendy.
What is that, Chicago, they have the giant bead?
Oh, the bead, yeah.
Yeah, and some of the neighboring cities you've seen, I'm sure the hearts that are around town on the concrete stands, and something in that vein.
Right.
Doesn't have to be that. It could be a metal sculpture. It could be a mural.
Something true to Litchfield.
When you get to the point with the artists, typically then you start having the representatives and the artists piece together those details. But I would say each of the cities is going to want that of their own, that definitely you want it true to the community.
Commissioner,
whatever that representation is.
Yeah, assuming we're talking outdoor kinds of art, I would suggest in the new park at the city square, where everyone's going to be going.
Until we get a carousel.
Yeah. I don't know what the timeline is.
Well, I'll come back with more of those details, but I do agree with you. I think that might be a great attraction, especially if some of the larger amenities are in a holding pattern until they get that approval through capital improvement projects. That something that's, lower end, $10,000 for a public art piece is not a high dollar amount compared to what's out there. So it might be a nice stepping stone and attraction for the new park if you guys like that location. At least that already helps narrow down. And obviously, we'd work with John and Keith and Kyle to kind of figure out what might work best and within and around the park, what's doable with what's already going on there.
You mentioned that we would buy the art at the end of the temporary installation.
It's usually
and I kind of wonder what the $10,000
option
goes towards.
That is essentially having it on loan and installed and paying the artist to come up with the concept, create the concept. We install it for that temporary time period. So that's 2 years worth of all that, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sort of try before you buy.
Sort of like a secondhand market for the art afterwards, so we can get it on, maybe?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a fan. We're sorely lacking in that department of public art, so I'm all in favor of that one. Any other, Susan, anything? No? Okay.
I'm definitely in favor of it.
So you would like our yes,
to explore.
I guess, yes, blessing to explore. If you guys would like to formally vote that we move forward, or at least recommend to council that we do install some temporary art installation, then at least when that comes towards it, they'll know that this is something that the RPG is interested in as well, not just staff.
Do we mention placement in the city square?
I think if you guys are in favor of that, that'll help narrow it down too, yeah.
Okay.
Depending on the timing, we could find another park to put it in, or, by the rec center.
I mean, I think it's all still very open.
Yeah.
But as much as we can narrow down and guide, we'll make it easier for when we are putting out there those call to artists for that, the request for qualifications.
So would we have indoor? I mean, we've talked about outdoor, and that's kind of like, you can put it anywhere as outdoors, any of our parks, whatever. are they also, indoors?
Yeah, it's an option. It's available.
Where would it be though, where
Yeah, we have limited spots.
Yeah, that's the only thing for here in Litchfield Park.
Pat's office.
Yeah.
Matthew's I don't know how much public enjoyment would be done.
Yeah.
Does this become a budget request for next year, or is this potentially come out of this year's budget?
No, it would be on the capital improvement project list for consideration by council.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can we capitalize though, if it's temporary? This is 2 years.
Yeah, because of the
2
type
years.
of project it is.
Okay.
I would like to see it be permanent for $10,000. I don't know, it kind of seems weird that you would just
$10,000 rent.
Well,
take it down.
I think the
and-
intention though is that you get new art, right? You have your art for 2 years and then
you're back
commission
on.
another artist, in a
Find
couple more
another
years.
spot maybe, or
So that,
or keep that one.
so the art is refreshing itself.
So most of the time what happens is the cities typically are saying, hey, we like your piece enough
Yes, we want to.
that we want to keep it. So now we want to enter into a new contract to buy it from you and make it a permanent piece.
Is that negotiated up front typically?
Yeah.
I would have to find that out. It's new to all of us here.
Yeah. I like the idea of it, I just kind of feel like we could build on it rather than just having one piece of art for
we gotta
$10,000.
start somewhere, though.
Like, have one and then have another one in 2 years versus replacing it, That's my thought, so that we could actually build up the public
I
art
think
in the
there's probably
city.
some more details coming, like you said,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be more clear when they,
I think,
Get that.
giving blessing to explore, I think, commitment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just giving you ideas.
No,
That's all,
and,
things to
hey,
think
I'm in
about.
complete
That's
agreement
all.
with you. And hopefully
I love
that's
the
what will
idea.
happen, is that we would be able to build on this and then
Yeah.
every couple of years add to in different locations.
something that came to mind is we have so many really unique parks, and each park has a theme, right? Some piece of art for each park. I think it might be
Mhm.
a little expensive, but.
Well, a decade down the road, there's 5
Yeah.
installations.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to the meeting where we vote if we want to buy the art or none of us like it.
But art's relative, so.
Yeah, right. That's going to be an interesting meeting.
Very personal. Do we have a motion to pursue exploring this with a recommendation for placement in the city square?
Yes.
Okay.
She moves Leslie.
What she said.
Do we have a second to the yes?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that one moved.
We're so slowly.
Yeah.
I will keep you updated on
Okay.
how it progresses.
Well, we didn't commit to a whole lot on that one.
No, we didn't. We're also very non-committal.
Yeah. All right, Commissioners report on current events. Adam, you want to start?
A lot of time consumed by soccer, well out there. I think I've only gotten 1 yellow card. And otherwise, it's been running pretty well.
All right, Brian?
I don't remember what I was going to talk about, so.
Well, if you think of
I have
it,
nothing
just
to
chime in,
report.
if it comes to you.
Okay.
Krista?
This is my first year being on the participating side of the soccer, or rather my daughter's participating, so I'm having a good time. Everything's organized very well. So it's nice to see this organized as well from the inside as it looks from the outside. Thank you.
Susan?
The only thing I have to report is the tree painting I felt was a success, although I was only there 1 day. I think each year we get better and better and more prepared. And I think next year we're going to have control of it completely with the paint and the supplies. And I think the T-shirts turned out really nice.
Especially the ad on the back.
I really don't have anything that you all haven't already shared, so with that, topics to referral to city council. We did have those, didn't we?
I think you guys had, the wall selection that Keith is gonna pass on, and the shade.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And the expiration of public art.
I don't think that's there yet.
Okay.
That's just kind of for staff to go back
Yeah.
and find more info.
Do some more homework on that
Yeah.
one. All right, anything else? Well, we can't talk about it anyhow, it's not on the agenda. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting tonight?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Adjourned.